Let's go a little bit back in time of what you were saying. And let's talk a little bit about, so okay, you're in construction, you're finishing up stuff, right? So tell me a little bit about your total data landscape. Okay, so you were just talking about AutoCAD files. Tell me what is your data turnover day to day? What is happening?
We have also, it's not only our AutoCAD, we also have contracts. We have Excel, in Excel we get them offers. Then my colleague, she makes, what is the English word for that? Approving how many square meters we did of some positions, also in Excel. Okay. And of course in Microsoft Word, everyday exchange of the letters between the contractor and the subcontractor.
Okay. So, and tell me a little bit about those subcontractors, because you get...
I am the subcontractor. And also I have several, 5, 6, depending on the job, other smaller subcontractors who are actually executing the works for me.
Okay.
So I am buying the materials, and they are working for me, and I'm paying them like a smaller subcontractor.
Right, but you are in the end also a subcontractor again of a bigger firm,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about, because basically you are like one entity in a very big network of all sorts of stakeholders.
Absolutely true.
Right. So can you sketch a little bit maybe for the ones for the people looking at this video, like how does the data go back and forth between you and your larger contractor and your subcontractors? How does it all look?
Through mails.
Through mails, yeah.
Mostly 90% of all information are going through the mail. Some information comes orally if it is about some small changes, but actually everything is in written.
Okay, right. Everything is in written form and mostly by mail.
Mostly by mail,
okay.
Yes.
So and okay, so sometimes you get attachments, I suppose.
Yes, of course, yes.
Right, but sometimes those attachments are too big to be possible.
Yes.
So what do you do in such a case?
We go to the, we download them from the, what is the...
I remember that you mentioned WeTransfer maybe?
Yes, WeTransfer, yes.
Okay, so basically big files you put into WeTransfer and then you get a link
yes,
by email.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Okay, so basically you're in a situation where there's a lot of data going back and forth, and probably you have several versions of all these data you're talking about.
Versions, yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. So for instance, in terms of AutoCAD files, right? What happens?
I will tell you in a simpler way. When we are giving an offer and they ask us for some discount, then we are giving again, it's an Excel file, then we are giving some smaller discount. Then they want some changes again. So we have, during the process of giving an offer, we have usually 4 or 5 versions until we come to the latest and final offer. And that offer is a basement for the contract. After that, after we sign the contract, usually in a couple of days, we start the works. Right. And during that procedure of giving an offer, we also have the first version of AutoCAD files for the specific,
you start a little bit
project. Yes.
You start a little bit exploring.
But during the execution of the works, a lot of changes are coming from the main contractor. Not to explain what is the reason. I mean, I know, but it's not for this subject.
Yes.
And keeping all these changes in folders that are attached to that specific project is very often very confusing.
I can imagine that. So,
and that is the problem that Stalin solved us.
Right, we will come to that. I would like to a little bit explore more what we're now talking about, because you probably see around you other parties also having the same problem.
Yes.
Do you recognize the problems that you experience with other parties that you work with, or do other people have different solutions?
From some colleagues that are working in bigger companies, I know from them that they have problems on a larger scale because the company is bigger.
Right.
We have only one computer, and they have 10 projects going on, and if 3 of them are ill, it's a huge problem for the whole company.
Okay.
How quickly they can make some changes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but and tell me, because you are just using your ordinary file manager, right, to make sense out of this whole. And what do your peers do? Do they also use the same methods that you use, or they have some?
I suppose yes.
Right, right. So you basically have like a tree structure with all sorts of folders in that, of all sorts of projects.
Yeah, we have some under one directorium. We have some subfolder. But in these subfolders, we have many times some files that are completely useless, for example.
Yeah.
That were one day, 10 days ago, it was true. But 5 days ago, it was not true. But we keep it there.
Yeah.
And it's confusing. What is the latest version of the information that came for change?
You keep opening files, you keep
Yes.
clicking,
Yes.
right? Okay, and tell me a little bit, when you do that, when you keep clicking and keep opening files, do you sometimes run into the problem that you basically cannot find it? Does that happen?
When my colleague was on holiday, yes, it happened for 2 days.
Right.
And I was very, very frustrated.
But what are the repercussions of such a situation?
Nothing. I just got nervous.
You got nervous, okay, but
And I made a mistake when
And
I
you
was
made-
giving an offer because I was so nervous.
yeah. Okay, so it made you emotional, but also I can imagine that, correct me if I'm wrong, that for instance a client is waiting for you to find something. Was that?
Yes.
Is that
And
okay?
there was a deadline when I should send an offer.
Right.
And
Okay.
it
Ah, I remember that. Yeah, you had a deadline.
I had a deadline for an offer.
Right.
But I couldn't make an offer because I wanted to get some information from the previous files from the other projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I went to the directorium of the other project,
Yes.
I couldn't find that
Yeah.
for
Right.
hours.
Right. So, okay, so let's now move on, because then that's when basically we met in the hallway. You were nervous,
Yes.
and our co-founder Frederik, he kind of he recognized your high emotional
Yes.
state.
He was very kind to me.
Okay, so that's when
What
we.
is strange for him, but that day he was really kind to me.
Yeah, it's out of the ordinary.
Yes, out of ordinary.
So okay, so we said like, okay, look, Wanda, we have a solution for you. So can you tell me a little bit about how that went for you?
You saved me.
Okay, thanks.
That's
really
You
great.
saved
That's
me.
great.
And most important thing, my colleague, who you do not see her, she didn't want to be.
She's not in
right
frame.
now. She was very, very interested in the project, in the study.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's a stubborn person.
Yeah.
But I was amazed that immediately after she understood how this program works, and it works very simply,
Yeah.
I saw her that she's really interested.
And
What
she is-
that thing can do.
Right. I think that your colleague is like.
A gatekeeper.
Yeah, and she is a little bit apprehensive,
Yes.
right? But on the other hand, she is also curious
Very
whether.
curious and understood
Yeah.
what are the very positive sides of studying.
So in your words, what would you think are those?
For me, it's perfect.
Okay, but what makes it perfect?
Because I am not getting nervous when I'm searching something.
Okay, so
For me, this is most important thing.
for instance, you were for 2 days screaming down the hallway here because
Yes.
you were frustrated you couldn't find your file. So after installing Starling, what was the impact? What happened?
I'm not afraid if she gets ill.
Right. Okay. And I think you
That's
also
for
found,
me, that's fantastic.
and you also found your file, right?
Yes.
So that's great. Okay. In terms of like future development of the product, and what could be very interesting for you is maybe the fact that we are thinking about, and not just thinking but also programming right now, the ability to collaborate directly from within Starling with your collaborators. So for instance, you as Technodom, you would be able to say to your subcontractors, look, get Starling, here you have the license, you know, that you could have licenses that you could give to your subcontractors. And you say like, look, I'm using Starling, this is my data management solution, here you have it, from now on we can have direct collaboration.
That
I
was,
can,
at the moment I was thinking about that.
Okay.
Direct.
right,
It will be useful.
that would be useful.
It will be useful.
Because for instance then, you say you have an AutoCAD file, alright? And there are like say a couple of versions of this AutoCAD file. It would be visible within Starling, like this was made by Zorica,
Yes.
this was made by Marco, this version was made by Daniela.
Yes.
And like this you would be able to have basically seamless collaboration.
Yes. And
With
what
your-
else?
with
If
your
I can
software.
see that Daniel made the latest version, and Daniel works somewhere in the other company, and I need information from the Daniel, I will call him or I will write him an email,
Yeah.
not going directly, I will go directly to Daniel, not going to one mail and then waiting for them to distribute the
Right.
mail to the right address.
Yes, right. Hey, and also there was one other aspect that we talked about shortly, but which is actually interesting to talk a little bit more about, because as far as I understood, your colleague, she was very apprehensive of getting rid of any data. So she even had data out of
No,
what-
she doesn't want to delete anything.
Right. So what was, I think it was 2008 or something she
Yes.
even had found.
Yes, can you imagine?
So, as far as I understood, this mostly came also because of the very limited capacity that you had with using just a file manager for your
Yes,
data
I
management
suppose
system.
so, yes.
So, can you tell me what changed after your colleague started to actually use the software? Because as far as I understood, there was some sort of remarkable change in her behavior.
Yes.
So what happened?
She didn't say it loudly,
Yeah.
but she told me, well, it really works.
Okay.
And this dungeon,
Yeah, this dungeon. Yeah, yeah.
she said yes,
Mhm.
because it will not be deleted,
Right.
but it will not be visible in our computer.
So it unclutters your daily data picture, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
I think that is one of the key points that makes it work for you, is that you have an option available that safely helps you unclutter your daily data picture.
yes,
But if by contract you are obliged 2 years from now to show a certain AutoCAD
yes,
file,
yes, because we
You
have
know
a
it's there.
guarantee of 2 years.
right?
After we finish the works, we have a guarantee to repair something that is damaged for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's very useful because after 2 years, in the 2 years you forget about that project, you're on the other project,
Right.
and you cannot remember everything.
Right.
And you got an email from the main contractor that you should go to India, other city, and to repair something in the room number 7 on the 6th floor.
Yeah.
How can you remember what was in there?
Then the digging starts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we use Starling
Right.
to go to directly to the number 7 room on the 6th floor.
Right. Of a certain street.
Yes.
And you can even time travel. Say like, look,
Yes, time travel.
we were doing those works at that month, that year,
Yes,
and you
exactly.
just poop. It just
Yes.
shows you all the files. Great.